Welcome to another edition of Riding Shotgun. Man, today's a good day to ride. We're going to be riding a long time. It is Monday morning, and at noon, Brad Underwood will be officially introduced as the new Illinois basketball coach. Of course, his hiring became public news on Saturday. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, Illinois plays Boise State in an NIT game. So there's a lot going on, and I was trying to decide, should I wait and record it later and tomorrow? Well, just record it and see what happens. I was over there yesterday at the end of practice and spoke with both Jamal Walker and Michael Finke, and we'll talk about that. But first, the Brad Underwood hiring. You know, everybody has their lists at the start of these things. And you're picking candidates who you think would be really good coaches, who you think would be somehow a match with Josh Whitman, the guy that's going to do the hiring, and then you also look at things like gettability. You know, can you get that guy? And the interesting thing is, one of the reasons Brad Underwood snuck up on me, is that when you're making that list, you tend to maybe push to the side people that just moved last year and signed multi-year contracts, like Brad Underwood, who moved from Stephen F. Austin to Oklahoma State, and like Bryce Drew, who moved from Valparaiso to Vanderbilt. You kind of think, well, you know, the timing just wasn't great. You know, a year ago, both of those would have really made some sense, but you don't expect that they will probably consider moving already, and yet in Brad's situation, he was just so lowballed by Oklahoma State when he moved from Stephen F. Austin. So he was the lowest paid coach in the Big 12, really underpaid. Josh Whitman, smart enough to recognize what his situation was, that he was both underpaid and really unhappy with that, and with the slow pace at which they were, you know, moving on a pay upgrade. And so you've got a coach now who is more available than you ever imagined. And Josh did a terrific job in the industry. Brad Underwood is really regarded as a top-rate coach and a good recruiter. He's recruited Texas. He's recruited all over for K-State. It's interesting because when you're watching the NCAA tournament, particularly in the early rounds, you're watching different coaches and you're thinking, okay, that could be the guy. You're watching Archie Miller at Dayton. That could be the guy. You're watching Greg Marshall at Wichita State. You know, maybe a long shot, but who knows? You're watching any of these guys that are on the list, and Kevin Keats, you know, was on a long list. It didn't make so much sense regionally, and he certainly is a better fit probably for North Carolina State. But when you watched the Oklahoma State-Michigan game on, I believe it was Friday, first of all, terrific game. I mean, that's NCAA tournament final round kind of stuff. That was really good. Two good coaches going at it. Michigan, you know, as hot as any team in the country, beating Brad's Oklahoma State team 92-91. And at no time during the game did I think, you know, okay, I'm watching the next Illinois basketball coach. And talking to Michael Finke yesterday, he didn't think so either. He watched that game and thought, man, that's fun, you know, and he thought that's a fun offense that Oklahoma State's running. But it never occurred to him that the next day he would find out that'll be their new coach. So you get a guy who's really highly regarded as a coach. Obviously, the style of ball that they play is fan-friendly. People are going to love watching this. It's been one of the biggest complaints I've heard for, I'm going to say, 11 seasons, since after Dee and Darren left, and then Bruce in those final years, and throughout John's tenure at Illinois, from fans saying, you know, these coaches always talk about, we're going to get out and run, we're going to move the ball, we're going to play up tempo, and then they never do. And Brad's offense does. That's what they do. They improved from 66 points a game to 85.7 in his 1 year at Oklahoma State. And I'm excited to see that kind of basketball. They're tough defensively. I mean, look at the guys he's mentored with. You know, Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Bob Huggins now at West Virginia. They're in the Sweet 16. Frank Martin from South Carolina. They beat Duke. They're in the Sweet 16. Those are tough dudes. Those are guys who will brawl with you if you need to. And nobody wants to play those teams. They make you uncomfortable. And that's what I'm expecting from Illinois under Brad Underwood's leadership. I expect Illinois to become a team people do not want to play. I think they feel the same way about John Beilein's team right now. Nobody wants to play them right now, particularly offensively. I mean, they're something else. So anyhow, Brad met with the team yesterday. He had not sat down with Jamal Walker. That's a big deal to a lot of people, and it should be. They have known each other for a long time. Jamal met him in his living room, his family's living room, when he was like 11 years old, and he was there recruiting Jamal's brother for Dodge City Community College. And of course they've gotten to know each other and seen each other on the recruiting trail, but they're not friends. They don't have a warm, fuzzy relationship. They've never had a chance to. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't. It just means that, you know, Jamal made some interesting points yesterday. He's having a hard time processing all this. He's disappointed that John was fired. He loves John. I think he realizes they've put together a really good recruiting class. I think he felt that would buy them a little more time. I don't know if he's bitter, but I think he's probably a little mad, and I think he's very disappointed, and he's got to process that. And yet he makes it very clear he and his wife love Champaign. They've been there 5 years. They were married 5 years ago. They've had children born in Champaign. They're raising them in Champaign. College basketball coaches bounce around, and he said Champaign's the closest to a home field that they've had. And he says, I think this place is special. So I think, you know, he has sort of said, I want to concentrate entirely on giving all I have to this team through the NIT, because Jamal's going to continue to coach him. But I think there'll be a time, and maybe it even happened last night, maybe it's happening right now as we're talking, where he and Brad need to come to an understanding of how Brad feels about him in the program, perhaps an offer being made. I think Josh will have armed Brad with money. I think you're going to see an upgrade of the assistant coaches' salaries, and I think, you know, Jamal's obviously viewed in the community as special. The guy who steps in and serves as an interim always is. It was that way with Vic Koenig in football. It was that way with Wayne McClain in basketball. It's that way with Jamal right now. He's a guy that's agreed to hold things together. People recognize how valued he is as a recruiter. Hopefully they can get that done, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But it's an exciting time. It's a tumultuous time. The transition is still very much moving, underway, and of course they play tonight. So Brad will be introduced at halftime tonight. You know, we may know a whole lot more. Anxious for his press conference. They've opened it up to the public, which I'm not crazy about, but you know, it's their show. They got to do what they need to do, and they want people to get excited about him, and this is an opportunity to bring him in front of a lot of people, including donors and so forth. So anyhow, anxious to head over there, and thanks for listening today. Wild weekend, wild day today. I expect an announcement on a women's coach anytime, and the staff will come together. We'll find out about recruits. We still got a lot of things happening with Illinois basketball. The hiring of Brad Underwood didn't make it all screech to a halt. So thanks, everybody. See you later.